Welcome, fearless dreamers. This is the third episode of the Unstoppable Immigrant podcast. I am Martina, your host and pilot. Today's guest, Stefania Mogollon, is on board with us and we are taking off to Venezuela. Buckle up, this journey is going to be full of laughter, lessons, and unstoppable energy. Cabin crew, let's take off. All right, Stefania, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so happy to interview you. So let's get into it. Are you ready?
Hola, amiga. I'm so ready. So ready.
Let's do it. Okay, so where in Venezuela are you from?
I was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela, but not exactly like the capital, but more on the mountain side. So it was very rural. When we first moved to this area, it's like cows and pigs, and my neighbors were donkeys. Then it started developing a little bit more, but yeah, Caracas, Venezuela. My little town is called La Unión, inside El Atillo, which is a very cute little town.
Say it again.
La Unión.
La Unión.
Inside El Atillo.
Inside El Atillo. So how was growing up in this place?
En El Atillo. I think, to me, I describe it as my childhood. Honestly, the way I experienced it was the best because I had to experience things that a lot of kids probably in the heart of the capital or in any other, major city wouldn't be able to. My Play-Doh was the soil. We used to play with the trees, orange trees, and we do improvise swings with the tires.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, so it was amazing. I had the best childhood in this area. Of course, some limitations as well because it's so far away that to get to anything central, it takes a long time and many buses and subways and anything just to get it to university. But I love it. I think I was pretty lucky to have that childhood.
Before social media, before electronics, before any influence of
Girl, before BlackBerry. No BlackBerry. I was so happy when I had my first flip phone.
Yes.
Because also, keep in mind, the technology gets there so much later.
Yes.
So when we got the BlackBerry, probably the iPhone 5 was already out. Like,
totally.
kind of like that.
It's the same in Slovakia.
Yeah.
We're a little bit behind, but it still works out. So tell us a little bit more about Venezuela and growing up there and what you wish that people knew more of when it comes to Venezuela.
Well, first of all, something that I've been trying to manage a little bit is that as soon as I say Venezuela, people come up with politics. And that's kind of something that, please don't. If you want politics, go to CNN. I had to detach myself from the politics side of it when these regimen politicians came into place. I was like 8, 9 years old. So I don't know anything else about a good Venezuela other than what I've experienced with it, which is when Chavez came into place. So that's the politics side. It's awful. Crimes everywhere. They are dictators. It's horrible. But that aside, my country is so much fun. Actually, my people.
Your
Venezuelans,
people.
we are fun.
Yes.
And we are super hard workers. We are very resourceful. And our country is amazing. We have the tallest waterfall in the world.
Ooh.
We have ocean, rivers, desert. We have snow, and we have beaches.
Beach.
Yes.
So what is if you have to give a recommendation to the listeners who are possibly planning to visit Venezuela at some point, where would you send them?
I don't go, so...
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't go to Venezuela, and I'm sorry, I wouldn't send any people that I love to Venezuela because unfortunately it is dangerous. I don't know how it is now. I haven't been there for so many years, but it's not a easy country to do tourism in, and it's super expensive, and that's why the people that are still there are struggling so much because it's a beautiful country, but how are we able to get money from tourism if it's so archaic and bureaucracy and dangerous? Don't go. Honestly,
okay.
don't go.
So we are not going to.
I mean, I'm not going.
Venezuela is a pretty interesting experience, and it seems like your childhood was pretty eventful. So why, like, what made you to move to United States from Venezuela? Let's talk
Well,
about
the
that.
first reason as to why I came to America, I didn't come here knowing that I was going to be a migrant. I came here on a student visa to learn English because I struggle a lot with English, believe it or not. It was awful. And I knew that after I finished college, which I did international business, I needed to know English because,
Yes.
I'll be out of job without knowing English.
Claro.
So I came to New York City for a couple of months to learn English. And when it was the time for me to go back to Venezuela, it's when a major social civil war revolution happened. One of many that have happened. So it was situations where my friends were in prison because they were protesting. They were killing people because they were protesting. People were getting kidnapped right and left. And in that moment, I had my ticket a few days, and I called my mom and I say, "Hey, mom, I'm not going
I'm
back."
not going back. I believe it was a good choice, and I'm glad you stayed. Like, from what you are saying, it's pretty horrifying. So, okay, when did you move to US? What age? Like, how old were you?
So I came to the U.S. in 2013, and I was 22 years old, right out of college.
Just like me, 22 years old.
Yes.
That's like a magical year where everybody leaves their home country, I feel like.
Yeah. I was pretty young, but I felt that I had what it take to embark on the process.
Of
Later
course.
on, I'm like, damn, it's not as easy as I thought.
It's not what I thought.
But you figure it out on the way. We're immigrants.
We are going to figure it out.
Yes.
So, okay, you moved from Venezuela to New York at the age of 22 by
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
So, what was the toughest part doing this?
The toughest, I don't think I can say one single thing. I think the toughest part is all of it, like figure it out.
Figure it
Like
out.
that's the big question mark when you come to a country with no resources, no connections, nowhere like to kind of have a good start. How do you figure it out? That's the main question. And I think I was very lucky in that aspect because I was able to find the path, not figure it out, but find the path real quick in terms of what to do in my career. When I was first immigrant here, I was a nanny for 2 years.
Yay!
So I was a babysitter for two amazing, super smart boys. That taught me a lot. One of them actually helped me a lot to learn English because I had to read and talk to him, and it was very, very useful. But figure it out because you don't really have a place to live. You don't really have a permanent job. You don't really have a legal status. Like you don't have a lot of things, and you're basically counting your dollars to see if you can make it to the end of the week. So it's like,
absolutely.
What do I do?
So, how was it for you, like, to learn the difference between, like, the economical situation in Venezuela that you had there, and then when you came to New York and there were dollars and, like, it's a different value, like what dollars can give you and how much things cost. Even food, how much, like, the price of the food or, like, transportation or any of this, like, how was that for you to adapt to, like, a new reality now?
Well, I think for me, more than the economics, because my country has been through so much hardship, Martina, so much that we already knew what a dollar was, like what a dollar was worth. To me, it was more of, and I think a lot of Venezuelans feel the same way. Of I have $10 and I can choose what to buy because when I go to the supermarket, there is milk, there is eggs, there is food, there is whatever I want.
Options.
I'm able to buy it. As opposed in my country, when I was there, I may have had $5. I couldn't buy what I needed. I needed eggs. There was no eggs. I had to go to 5 different supermarkets to find eggs. So to me, even if it was more expensive, going to a supermarket was like Disneyland. I'm not joking.
God.
So it was like, oh my God, I didn't know there were so many types of milks. I genuinely had no clue. So to me, it was never a matter of here is everything more expensive because anyway, I came with nothing. So anything would have been expensive anyways.
Yes.
It was, you have to adapt to everything more expensive, but I was so happy I could buy anything I wanted, even with $1.
So I'm just gonna follow up on what you said that you came here and you were a nanny, and I feel like that's a case for a lot of our listeners. So if you are listening to this and you have similar journey where you came to this country to be a nanny, please let us know, comment below, and we would love to connect with you. And I was also a nanny, not in the United States, in London. So that was also my experience, also to boys. So this is something we have in common. And it's not as relevant because it was in United Kingdom, not in the United States. But I do have that experience as well. And I've learned English with them because we were like watching Disney movies. And if I said something wrong, like they would like make fun of me. And it was so cute. Like because of them, I do speak a little better English. So
I mean, I think that's very common. I mean, there are many levels of being an immigrant. I think we both are on the same level, basement level. So when you come to this country, and I think any country with no resources, you have to do what's available.
Absolutely.
And for some people, it's waitressing, cooking, cleaning. Cleaners make good money.
Yes.
Babysitting, you know, whatever it takes. And I swear to God, anything that you do as an immigrant at the very beginning adds into your journey, into your life. You start to learn the system, what works, what doesn't, what makes money, what doesn't, what restaurant is best to work. Like, it's hard, but it's worth it.
And this is one thing I would like to say because a lot of people who never immigrated that they cannot relate to this, but I know there is a lot of people who can, is that there is a lot of people who studied and they are doctors or lawyers or what else am I missing? Like a big position they have that they have to abandon temporarily to move here and start, as you said, doing these other jobs where they clean or basically downgrade whatever they're capable of just so they can like sustain their living and pay for their bills. So
yeah, and no shame to people that come here with resources, but it is a fact. It's easier.
It is easier, of course.
You have to adapt. You'll go through hardships as well, but come on, it's easier with money.
It's absolutely easier, but not a lot of people have that. So
yeah, and I think what you just said about if you have a very high paying or reputable career back home and then come here and be an Uber, it's a major shock and it can hit you hard on your ego, self-esteem, etc. I just graduated from college, so I could say I have a title in my wall and now I'm a nanny. Oh God, but I'm saying, you know what? I am learning English, so I'm good. So yeah.
Totally. I'm the same with you. So what do you think like was one of the toughest parts of moving to US? Like one specific that you recall from your journey?
So I think the toughest part that I experienced when I first came to this country was my living situation, because I had at some point jumped from one place to the other. I really didn't have a place to be, and in this particular place, a friend of mine was already renting a room there. Mm-hmm. And I needed a place to be. So we talked to the lady to see if she would allow me to live in the room. Mm-hmm. She said yes, but she doubled the price of the rent. I had nowhere to go for a room. And she didn't allow us to put a window AC. So she was...
That's not nice.
And on top of that, she prohibited us speaking Spanish.
Because she didn't speak Spanish, right?
Uh-huh.
So she couldn't understand?
Excuse me, like I'm renting a room, you scream at me, you charge me double, you prohibit me to speak Spanish. I'm an immigrant, but I'm not an animal, you know? Like I'm not stupid. And I was fed up, and that's when I told this friend of mine that I had at the time, let's start bringing in boxes, hiding at midnight, and we're gonna pack, and we're gonna leave. I'm done. And that's when I realized
What a
I couldn't
master
leave.
plan.
I couldn't leave.
Why you couldn't leave?
Because I couldn't find a place to live. That's when I realized that I needed so many documents. I needed a social security, I needed pay stubs, I needed proof of income, I needed so many things just to rent a place. And that's when the big wall hit me. I'm like, how come I cannot rent? And, and we had everything packed already.
Oh my God.
I was so delusional. And I don't know what I was thinking. So it goes back to that's how things are done in my country.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I want to rent. And that's when I realized it's so hard to adapt to the systems of this country when you don't know anything and you don't have anything.
And that's a big deal because that's living. That's like a basic need. We all need to live somewhere.
And she's charging me double. It's like, lady, I'm struggling. Anyway, so I said, okay, how do you find a place? So I started going to real estate offices. And because I didn't have any of these documents, and they knew right off the bat, I didn't really had many income, they were not treating me right. And I was so upset because it's okay that I don't have what it takes, but can you explain me what is it that I need? Can you guide me as to how to do it? Can you just explain to me? You know, New York City is 99% immigrants.
Yes.
So help me.
Did you stay in Manhattan?
No. I was,
Where?
but in that moment I was in Brooklyn. And then I moved to Queens.
Okay.
Yeah. But everybody is immigrant. If not, the parents are immigrants. So
yes,
I'm talking to immigrants.
Yes. Who should have had some understanding.
They don't. They didn't. And that's amazing that they didn't. And you're going to understand why in a second. So I was going crazy. I'm like, what do I do? Whatever. In that moment, I was going, it was about summertime, and I was going to Coney Island, which is a beach. I love the beach. And I met a couple in the beach, an older couple. And this is happening, and then I call the lady. Her name is Maria. Hey, Maria, look, I'm looking for a place to live. I don't know where to live. A safe neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, and this is the best thing that ever happened to me, it's meeting them.
You met your angels.
I met my angels. Maria told me, come to my building. We'll find you a place. Her and her husband were able to find me a place. She signed as a guarantor.
Oh my God, how nice.
She just met me 3 times. And she signed. And
she had the empathy to help you.
And then we packed. And then when I was going to the place, I was so ready to sleep on the floor because it was an empty apartment. She furnished the entire apartment, her and her husband, Jose.
Oh my God!
I cried. It was heavy because I told this friend of mine, hey, you know, we're gonna put the winter jackets on the floor so we can sleep on the floor.
I love how you always have a plan.
I mean, look, it was October, it wasn't that cold. So I'm like, look, let's sleep on the floor, we're gonna be good, and then we'll figure it out. But at least we have a place to live where nobody's screaming at us.
Yeah, and you can speak Spanish.
And I can speak freaking Spanish. Like, come on, Venezuela, you want me to speak what?
Yeah.
So we opened the door and the place was fully furnished.
I would cry my
I couldn't
eyes
stop
out.
crying. To this day, I am deeply grateful. And through the journey of being an immigrant, you're gonna find a lot of assholes, but you're gonna find a lot of good people too. Like
angels.
Really, really good people. And you know, and that's kind of like what I wanna be. Like, you know, pay it forward to other people to help them. And that's how my career started. I'm a real estate agent, like you know. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn this in and out, and I'm going to be helping people find a house, find a home for rent, for buy, or at least guide them through how is the process. So that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I love that because this is something that was a problem for you, and you also found your own solution that you are like... forwarding to other people in need, which is a beautiful thing to do.
I was so angry. I'm like, these people is charging me and they're not teaching me what to do. I can do it. And I was super angry.
But it's a beautiful thing what you said, that there is a lot of assholes, but a lot of angels too. Being an immigrant, there's always unexpected people in our journeys who direct us or redirect us somewhere, and we end up safe. and okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy thing because, you know, it's such an unknown journey. We never know how it's going to work out. But just because people on the beach and like random strangers become family.
Yeah, and also, you know, throughout the years, you connect and disconnect with a lot of
Absolutely.
people, and I am deeply grateful with anyone that I have connected with throughout the journey, whether we're not in contact with anymore, because they were a key part of where I am. Like,
Absolutely.
even the lady that screamed at me, I'm deeply grateful, because if it wasn't for
For
her,
her, we wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be the real estate agent.
you need to be grateful.
For
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you've been here for 12 years. Do I calculate that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I know it's like to hard like to summarize all 12 years within 1 hour of the episode podcast length. But if you have to look back at these 12 years and be like, I'm so proud of myself, this is my wow moment, which one would that be for you?
The wow moment.
Like you like look at the situation and you're like, wow, I made it. Whatever that is connected to your immigration journey, being an immigrant in America from Venezuela.
Girl, when I got my citizenship.
Of course, that is such a huge wow moment.
I was like,
yeah.
I mean, that when it comes to paperwork, but the wow moment, honestly, I'm gonna say it when I moved to Brickell.
Yeah.
When I moved to Brickell, because
It's a little New York in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, this is my place. You know,
Yes.
I've lived Brooklyn, Queens, New York, and when I came here, it was just like, I cannot believe it.
Should we dive into why from New York to Miami? Because there's a lot of people. What's up? There's a lot of people who moved from New York to Miami within last 5 years.
Yeah.
And you were one of them.
I've moved before.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So just tell us like why.
I thought I hit the jackpot and then everybody moved. So from the very early years of me living in New York, I knew I wasn't happy there, mainly because of the weather. Secondly, because it's a really rough city and environment, and people there are not as friendly, approachable. It's hard to make friends. It was just, I didn't feel like it was my place, and I went through a few depressions in New York. I wasn't happy at all, and I contemplated moving to California. I traveled all around California. I didn't feel it was my place either.
Like you belong there.
Yeah, and one day I visited Miami, and I have a photo on the Brickell City Center in 2017 or something, and I wrote, "This is gonna be my home one day."
Here comes the manifester.
I had no clue how, and when time came, I was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm out. Actually, let me say, I went to a Tony Robbins event. It was Palm Beach. Yes. And in that moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to New York. I'm going to pack, and I'm out. And I came to Miami. I didn't know anybody. Martina, nobody. I would go downstairs to the lobby and see if I could talk to people, because I was going crazy alone in my apartment. I'm telling you.
God. And now you have so many beautiful friends.
Yeah, it turned out to be amazing. I think that was my main aha moment. I was living in a 1-bedroom corner unit, and the view of the unit wasn't the entire Brickell, and I was like sleeping on the floor once again. But I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And,
oh my God, I have a goosebumps.
Yes,
this is crazy.
This episode is brought to you by Maza Events, Miami's luxury event planner and your go-to for unforgettable celebrations. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and love deserves the perfect setting. Let Maza Events craft a romantic experience you will never forget. But hurry, spots are filling up fast. Book now and make this Valentine's one to remember. Booking form is in the show notes.
Okay, so I do have something for you.
Okay. Ay.
So I have this tongue twister
I
for.
knew.
Of course I do. So I would want you to read this 3 times in a row and each time faster.
Okay, is this
Okay.
a catch? Like a no. No.
It's
Okay.
not a
Okay.
catch.
I mean, it's a catch on itself. Let me see.
No, no, no. I'll show it to you. I'll show it first to our subscribers. Can you see?
Practice at home.
Practice at home. All right, amiga. Lista, are you ready?
I have one in Spanish that you're not able to say.
Okay, are you ready?
Oh my god.
3
And
times
I need my
and
glasses. Blue glue gun, green glue gun. Oh, again? Okay.
3 times and fast. Rápido,
Blue
rápido.
glue gun, green glue gun.
Faster.
Blue, no, girl, I can drink a gun. Blue glue gun, green glue gun. Blue glue gun, green glue gun. That's it.
That was pretty good, girl.
Where did you come up with this?
Surfing you know, to spice it up. But you did so good.
Yeah.
So, when you are looking back on your journey, okay, so how do you think this whole process shaped you into who you are today?
Ooh, 100%.
Like how?
How?
100% and how?
I mean, I do have to acknowledge that because I was born and raised in a country like Venezuela, it prepared me substantially
Yeah.
to perform well as my immigrant journey. Because Venezuela, like, girl, you cannot even go to the supermarket. So you have to be so resourceful all the time. So I learned how to be like that since I'm 10 years old. You have to figure it out
It's like a survival, right?
all the time, even
Gosh.
to catch a bus, even to eat, to it's always something. So
Wow.
that was the best university for me to go to the most complicated city in the
School of
world,
life.
which is New York City.
New York City.
So that helped me a lot. It's important for me to acknowledge that because that's where I come from. That's what shaped me. That's what actually made me be successful today, being from Venezuela. And being an immigrant is not easy either. It's a completely different type of challenge. People think it's just flowers and nice Central Park, walking the dog.
What they see in movies.
No. O sea, no. I think it's amazing. I work with a lot of immigrants myself, relocating them and helping them find a home. And I always say to them, we have a superpower. We as immigrants, and our superpower is being an immigrant.
Yes, unstoppable immigrant.
It's a superpower. It should be on the resume. First thing, immigrant, because we are able to do many things that probably somebody who didn't have this experience is not as prepared.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I feel that I'm capable of doing
Anything. Absolutely. I feel the same and I'm so proud of us.
Yeah.
Because to do this immigration process, it takes balls.
Yeah. And a lot of people go back, so they are not able to deal with it.
Yes. This process is not for people who are not mentally strong.
And I don't want to discredit people that were born here either. And I think this is important because a lot of people that was born here may be married or living with somebody that's an immigrant. So it's a different also, it could be like a clash of experiences in life, right?
Yes.
And I think this podcast can also be very beneficial to the partner of somebody that's an immigrant, because the mindset and the thought process is so different. You may be thinking from a place of, I'm gonna save for later. Meanwhile, somebody that was here is like thinking from a mindset, yeah, I'll have more later anyways.
It's absolutely different.
And it's not right or wrong, but it's
just
good
different.
to understand, how the other person thinks. You may, until a certain point, you may be thinking from a place of survival all the time because you don't know what's next. You don't have mommy and daddy to call, hey, can you help me pay for the rent? No.
That's never been a case.
So it's always, we as immigrants always have a plan B, and I think it's
C, D, E, F, G.
yeah, so I think it's wonderful, yeah.
So you dived into a little bit of Tony Robbins, which we all know is mindset and self-development and lifestyle. So tell us a little bit more about your way of thinking.
Well, I started into my exploring my spirituality mindset, this kind of lifestyle when I was like 13 or 14. My mom used to say I used to do witchcraft because I light up a candle and I started meditating.
At 13 years old?
At 13.
That's advanced. That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess. I was trying to look for a place for me to move forward because I was going through a lot at home. So I was like, I have two options. One is very dark and one is very bright.
Yes.
So I tried to look for tools and resources on the light side of things. And one of them was starting with the meditation. And that's kind of how it all played out. I started with meditation, then feng shui, then started reading The Secret. And that book, my first book, was The Secret. And the same book, I have it to this day. It traveled with me from Venezuela to New York to Miami. If I show it to you, it's all like destroyed. It's the first book. And that's kind of like my mantra, Because you have so many thoughts a day, and if you focus on the negative, that feeling fills you up, and nothing productive comes out of it. And I'm always trying to look for research, because otherwise you go crazy. And I think as immigrants, you need to find what works for you as a tool to hold on to, whether it is religion, meditation, drawing, art, therapy, groups, a sport, a hobby. You need to look for something, because I was going a little cuckoo. Yeah.
So what is the one piece of advice, since you started to giving advice anyway, that you would give someone on their immigration journey?
One piece of advice, nothing, it sounds cliche, but nothing is really impossible. Like, if you know somebody else did it, why wouldn't you? And I know some people may have different resources and things, but there is always a way to do whatever you want to do. If they say no 100 times, try the 101, because it's going to work out. I'm telling you, it's going to work out. Whatever you want to do as an immigrant, it's going to work out. One main piece of advice, and I think this is very practical, and I wish I knew this when I first came here. Honestly, take advantage of all the incredible financial systems that this country has, and start learning how to invest, how to do tax saving strategies, how to do all of that from the moment you step here. Because if I started investing $10 from the day that I stepped foot in America, it will be a different story. But I didn't know.
Me neither.
I had no clue. I didn't know what a Social Security was.
Me neither.
So just research. And now with YouTube, all of these platforms, there is no excuse for you to start learning about it. Don't, just start preparing for your future. Start taking advantage of all of these systems, because my country didn't have these systems. So that will be, if you take something from here, and 10 years later, please thank me. Because I wish somebody told me that.
I wish I knew that too, because I was just so stuck on that mindset of survival, of having income, of paying bills, of wanting to have green card, and eventually, all the paperwork, that I was not even thinking so far ahead in the future, or more of the existence than the survival. So why I can speak English. Your advice, it's so important. So yes, please.
And don't go too crazy like stocks. Just keep it simple.
Yes.
Keep it simple, and
Attention, listeners. Don't forget to leave us a review to help this podcast grow. You can also subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and Spotify to keep up with the latest episodes. And now, thank you so much for flying the Unstoppable Immigrant airwaves, and let's get back to the show. So, Amiga, what is your definition of success?
Success? I think success to me is fulfillment. And that could mean many things for different people. For me, being fulfilled is, yeah, have money in the bank account, because I'm not gonna lie, I love money.
Me too.
It's the best thing ever. Not the
Yes.
best thing ever, but it's pretty good. And yes, I think you can buy some things that makes you happy with a lot of money.
Yes.
But you also need to be fulfilled in your day-to-day basis. It's amazing to go on trips and to have fancy items and luxury, yada yada yada. But fulfillment for me, it's be happy one day at a time. And what makes me happy is have a good night of sleep, knowing that I'm able to pay for my bills, knowing that I have my dog, which is one of the main key pieces in my entire immigration process. Get a dog.
Emotional support.
Yeah, and do the things that you like. I like to keep it simple, eat good food, have amazing, fulfilling friends, and help people through my career. And what the best part is that I can make money
While
doing
helping
what I
others.
love, and that's the true success to me. I love what I do, Martina. Every time I give out the keys to me, it's like, yes, like they have a place, whether it is luxury or not. But there is a special place in my heart for first-time home buyers. It's like I cry in the car all the time I give out the keys. Yeah. So, yeah.
So a fun fact, Stefania actually helped to find this place, which is our apartment where we are currently recording this episode. So she was with us in the process of looking for an apartment. It's not, we didn't buy it, we are renting it, but it was so amazing that she was there with us on this journey. So thank you.
No, mega
Yes, of
pleasure. I
course.
know, when I get to help friends, it's even better. It's more
Yes.
fun and exciting, and and I get to come to a very nice apartment. So.
And another fun fact is that when we saw this painting, because that was furnished already, we were like, this would be great for podcast. And here we are
Yes.
recording the podcast episode.
I remember clearly Martina walking to the door. Instead of looking at the kitchen, she looked at this picture frame. She's like, for the podcast. I'm like, yeah, amiga, I guess. But I didn't really pay much attention because we saw like a bunch of apartments that day.
Yes.
And look at this.
Here we are. Okay, so you are a successful real estate agent. Do you focus on high-end properties in downtown, Brickell, Coral Gables? What is next for you? What are your big career dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I do mainly residential houses, multifamily houses, and condos. I usually tackle the market of anything by the water, from Pinecrest all the way up, depending on the budget, to West Palm Beach, because
Ooh.
money talks. Yeah, I mean, I've been a solo agent February for 10 years, Martina. Because I was 2 years nanny, and then I started my career.
You jumped right to the real estate? That's
Yeah.
such a smart thing to do.
I was doing nanny and real estate at some point in parallel. I'm telling you, I didn't have a place to live, and I moved and I went to get my license. Like, boom, boom. I was so angry.
smart.
I was angry. And that was the best thing ever.
So you've also been interviewed as a real estate agent
okay.
in
What's
CBS, Canvas Rebel, Pop Sugar, and South Florida Agent magazine. So tell us more about like real estate agent, like
Well, let me
being
add
agent.
CNN, and I'm sorry, CNBC, CBS Miami, and I've been featured in the Real Deal magazine, which is the largest real estate magazine in the world. I have to pop myself in the back.
Yes, I'm
sometimes
so
because
proud
it's like,
of you. This is
heck
huge.
yeah. Yeah.
It's huge.
So I've been a solo agent now for 10 years, and what's next for me? First of all, go hard on YouTube, please, Stefania.
Stefania also has a YouTube channel where she talks about real estate. So what is your YouTube channel name?
Stefania Mogollon, living in Miami. Go check it out if you're looking to move to Miami, pros, cons, how to do it, and all of that. So my goal this year is go be more consistent with YouTube, and also start a team, a real estate team. So I just signed a contract last week with one person that's gonna be my first team member.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
proud of
yeah,
you. That's huge.
My dream in a few years, and I hope it's not that long, is to have a good
team.
Yeah.
I can totally see
Probably
you.
like not too big, but like 10 Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You would be a great leader. So you want to have your own brokerage, I guess.
I don't know if I want to have my own brokerage, but I want to have a team. It's different.
Okay.
It's like a team within the brokerage because it's a different type of responsibility. Yeah.
Perfect. So do you have any fun stories selling homes? I know you have a lot, but choose one
Okay.
that's proper for you to do.
So I have two, and these two happened in New York. So I was then partnered with a co-worker that he was so much fun. So one day I was showing around the house and I was with a client, and then I step out and I say, no worries, this neighborhood is really safe. Nothing happens here. And then I hear, pa, pa, pa. And remember, I'm coming from Venezuela. I lay down on the floor. As I'm telling the client this neighborhood is real.
You prepared.
It's in the back of
And
my
what
mind.
was the pom song?
Balloons.
Girl, that's some traumatized stuff
But
there.
then the clients were like, is this really safe? I'm like, yeah, it's just a trauma thing. So that was one. And then the second one, I know,
Oh my God.
crazy. It was showing a house that unfortunately the person in the house have passed away. It happens, that we have to take over the sale of the property. And I was with my friend and I told him, show respect for this person. Like I'm a big believer into that. And he will laugh at me. Anyway, so I'm showing the property upstairs, downstairs, and in one of the areas of the house, he hid in one of the closets and came out. Wow! Girl,
I will lose it.
I lost it. I started running and I went out to the street. I'm like, it's the spirit. I know it's the spirit. And it was him. So, yeah. That was it.
That's why you like pranks.
Yes.
That's why she likes pranks.
Yes.
This is your bright future calling you. What can I do for you? What do you want in your personal and business life?
Well, Martina, are you ready for the list? I want to start my flipping business. I want a really nice romantic partner. I want to start my real estate team. I want to give it all for my YouTube channel. I want more money. I want more health, more happiness, and on and on and on.
Your wish is my command. So we're gonna end these episodes with 3 funny questions, and all I want from you, amiga, is one word answer.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Shoot it.
What's the weirdest food you've ever ate here?
¿De qué?
Comida? Weird food?
Oh,
like
weird.
what's like the most weird food
Oof. In Miami.
in America?
Oh, in America. Duck? In Chinatown? Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I don't like that either. Okay, second question is, if you could swap your life with someone famous, whether it's male or female, who would it be? For one day.
Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why?
because she does a lot of contribution work.
Yeah, she does. She does. And you wanna be hot. And you wanna
I
be
want to have money.
have money and fame
health.
and career.
Yes.
And what the last question is, if someone tells you America, what is the one word you think of?
Possibilities.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
Possibilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and to listening to this episode with Stefania from Venezuela.
I want to take a moment to give you a shout out.
thank you very
because this is
much.
also her dream to start this podcast, and I know it's going to be super successful. And I love to have friends. Find yourself friends that are badass, just like Martina, because she said, Amiga, I'm going to start a podcast, and some people say they will do things and they don't. And you did it, amiga.
Yes,
you did
thank
it.
you.
So it's super successful, and I'm honored. I'm one of the
To be
first
the
ones. Because
Yes.
then she's going to be famous, and I don't know, she's going to be still my friend.
Of course, come on, stop it. Yeah, so thank you so much.
No,
And I hope all the listeners enjoy this episode. If you loved it, please don't forget to like it, comment, subscribe, and share it with a friend who would definitely benefit from information from this podcast.
And if you're an immigrant, put down below what was the hardest and most amazing moment you had, because I think it's good to read what you listeners are going through right now.
Yes, and all the comments just warm my heart. And if you also have a second, don't forget to leave the review, because that's what's gonna put the YouTube going and Spotify going, and that's how we're gonna grow it and keep it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you so much for flying with Unstoppable Immigrant Airwaves. We hope this podcast brought you joy, motivation, inspiration, and connection. Feel free to share this episode with someone who really needs to hear it. And until next time, stay unstoppable.